Hi everyone, welcome back to the Chance at Life podcast with Crystal Lee. It's me, your host, Crystal Lee. Hi. A little over a year ago, I quit my job to take a break from the corporate 9-to-5 hustle and bustle world, but also to take a chance at following my dreams. Needless to say, I've learned a lot, I've been through a lot, and I'm ready to talk about it. So, if you're ready for this discussion, grab a snack, grab a drink, and let's get into it. Now, if this is your first time listening to me, hi. If it's your first time knowing that I quit my corporate job to be an entrepreneur, creative baddie, I'm going to tell you why I quit. It was to take a break from the hustle and bustle of having a 9-to-5 within a pandemic, but also having a 9-to-5 and needing to compartmentalize things that were happening while I was working, such as a global pandemic where so many people lost their lives, where there was literally a civil rights movement happening because of the deaths of Black Americans, and just in general, I've been working since I was about 17 and I never not had a job. In the pandemic is where I kind of was able to be by myself. And at the beginning of that, it was difficult to just be alone by myself in my apartment. But it opened me up to the opportunity to my own mind, being creative, thinking about certain aspects of life, and just self-reflection because what else was there to do? And the dangerous part about that is I actually self-reflected and thought, I can do better. I want to do better and I want to be better and feel better about my current situation. And that current situation being, I found a lot of creative endeavors while I was home by myself. I started making videos talking about hard topics and hard emotions. I started my own planner business by hand. I started my own YouTube channel and I started my brand called Chance at Life, which is the idea that no matter what you've been through, your past does not dictate your future. That even if, like me, you spent 8 years of your life in a certain career field and you have this urge, this desire to go somewhere else, you shouldn't let the time pass in what you've done stop you from what you want to do. I did all that by myself and it really opened me up to the possibility that I can just do more than accounting or auditing. And that was dangerous. So I thought about it for literally only a couple weeks. I thought about quitting for a couple weeks and using what I had in my savings to get me by. And it's crazy because at this time, I literally moved into Philadelphia. I had this apartment that cost $1,800 a month. I had bills totaling maybe $300 a month. I had a lifestyle, and that never really came into question. It was just like, I'm going to do this. Here's how I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to look back. And if I gave myself time to think things through, I wouldn't be here right now, because thinking things through instead of listening to my heart or my urges or desires is what got me to the spot where I am now, which is an overthinker, overanalyzer, and a person who just didn't do things that were not practical. So I put my 3 weeks in. And I didn't tell anybody either until a couple months after I quit, because I really didn't want to hear anybody's opinion on it. Not that I didn't care about people's opinion. I know it's coming from a place of love and care, but usually it also comes from a place of their own practical thinking and their own limitations. And I didn't want to have that energy on me, and I didn't want them to be put in the position to be that, I'm doing air quotes here, but to be that voice of reason for me when I decided what I was going to do. I wanted this to be something that I did and just told people that I did. After a few months of being jobless, I literally just did nothing. I didn't follow a dream. I really didn't do much besides vlog on my YouTube channel and really talk about certain emotions that I was going through. It was really like a diary that I kept. It was just me resting. I literally did nothing. And although I had these ideas and a future vision of mine, I couldn't bring myself to do anything. So I was like, I don't have to do anything. And I don't have to do anything. For the first time, I didn't have to do anything, wake up on time, or report to somebody, answer emails right off the bat when I woke up. And I will say that I had a routine in the morning that was probably an hour and a half long before I had to log in. But as soon as that hour and a half of a routine was done, I logged in and it felt like what I did for my routine to bring me to, like, a calm mind, calm body, calm spirit, walking into work, it just kind of diminished that. And it wasn't because management sucked or the environment was horrible. It's just like I was already opened up to the possibility of doing something else more fulfilling. So to sit there in that environment, which wasn't cutting it for me anymore. So when I was able to just wake up and not have to report to anybody, I feel like I was a kid in the candy store. Like, for example, I don't know if you remember the Jimmy Neutron movie where all the parents were kidnapped by aliens and the kids were alone for a few days and they just went on a rampage. Some overate ice cream, some left the fridge open, some was like, some were like, showering with clothes on, running amok in the street. But that's how I felt. I felt like there were no rules, and there were, but I decided that there were not for me. So for the first few months, I just did what I wanted to do, and then I decided that a lot of the things that I wanted to do surrounded travel and being in different places often. So I decided to put myself in storage, give up my apartment that I really did love, but I always knew that I could always come back to this life if I wanted to. But side note, I want to make a side note now because it's in my head and I want to say it before I leave it because it's not in my notes. It just popped up all willy-nilly. Something that got me okay with this venture, quote unquote venture, that I was going on was the fact that I still have an accounting degree. I still have the ability and the knowledge to do accounting. I still have the skills and the resume to do accounting or auditing. And accounting and auditing will always be there, but the chance to really live a life that's really independent, because I don't have a kid, I don't have a spouse, I have complete freedom. That opportunity would probably cease to exist at some point in my life because I do want those things. And so knowing that I can always come back to an accounting job or job security kind of allowed me to just be this free because I know I can always go back to it. But I decided to put myself in storage, give up my apartment, and go on a road trip. And I started my road trip in Asheville, North Carolina, and my goal was to spend a week or two in each place and continue on. But I ended up staying 2 months in Asheville, North Carolina, because I love the mountains so much. I felt so much more solitude, but also community, because I saw other people parking where I was parking to like stay in their car overnight in the mountain. It was a freeing nomadic lifestyle, and I could go down to the city and roam around and eat and enjoy that as well. So that didn't go as planned because I just stayed 2 months in one spot because I loved it so much. And even being in those mountains, it was fun, it was nomadic, it was freeing, but it also taught me so many lessons about my path going forward that I would hope to share one day, but I'm not ready for that yet. And it's not like some like dramatic ass, thing. It's just there was so much that I learned about myself living that kind of lifestyle that I am taking with me, but there were so many more things that has helped me really narrow down the vision I have for myself. So it was definitely a healing moment as well. But moving forward, after those 2 months in Asheville, North Carolina, I went home because I had a wedding to go to. And so I traveled back home to New Jersey, stayed with my mom, and did the wedding. But during that time of me staying in that area for the wedding, I was in a car accident, which not totaled my car. My car is still very drivable. It just, I can't take it across country. The accident was my fault, so no one was covering the damage to my car, all right? It was my fault. For the first time in my freaking life, I was in an accident, and it was my fault, and I got nothing covered. I did not and have not gone to get my car checked to see the damage and how much it will cost, but I know it would cost nearly $2,000 to $3,000, and I didn't have that at the time. I definitely depleted my savings, and I just wasn't. It is funny now, but in that moment it wasn't funny. I felt so just depressed, and I felt like the universe did not have my back. I felt annoyed because, following the practical lifestyle was so much more easier than following a dream. And I was so annoyed as to why people would say follow your dreams, it's so fun, when literally it's so hard to. So I went through a couple months of depression, and in those months I still got a job to, make some money while I was, essentially stuck here. And I regrouped, I cried, I released, I got angry, I got reclusive, but I regrouped. I regrouped and I remembered my vision. I remembered why I did this in the first place. And if you're asking yourself, well, Crystal, what is your dream? Crystal, what is your vision? That is for me to know and for you just to watch unravel. Not to be that person, but it really is, But all that to say, currently now, I have this plan and this vision in place for me to go after, and I'm slowly doing that. But it's been a wild year, and I want to tell you the things that I've learned about quitting my job and going after my dreams. And the one thing that I learned is how to be prepared for the what now questions. I did a podcast episode about the idea of success and how we feel successful. And what I talked about is our primary life from infant to university, or to the age that we go into college or university, whatever. We have a predetermined set amount of goals. Pre-K, kindergarten, elementary, middle school, high school, college, career. And in that, after career, we have spouse, home, kids, so on and so forth. When with that predetermined kind of life path, we're always asked, what now, what next, what are you doing now? And it's a communal thing to share and update what you're doing in your life now, right? It's just what we do. But what I had to get used to is telling people I don't know. And to tell people I don't know and to see their faces kind of be like, oh, or to feel the energy shift like, oh. It was jarring because everyone was telling me about their next path, their proposal, their baby, their promotion. And I'm sitting there, was like, well, I lived in my car for 2 months. I'm trying my best. And I get it. People want to know what you're doing. Some for support, some for just, curiosity and to pass judgment. But you have to be very confident in yourself, in your dream, in your vision, in who you are becoming to be like, I don't know, and say that with your whole chest, because it is okay not to know. That's something they do not teach us anywhere in this world. To not know where you're going frees you up for the possibility to like make the first step. When you know where you're going, it does make life easier. You know what steps to take. But when you don't know where you're going, you're kind of allowing the universe to give you plenty of possibility and opportunities for those next steps. And it's hard to sit in that and to sit in that wait and patience because we're not taught to endure time passing without knowing things or with being in the unknown. I had to learn how to be that way and how to confidently say, I don't know what I'm doing right now, and that's fine. Another thing that I learned on this path is the ability to pivot. When I say I have an ending vision for myself, how I'm getting there has not been easy and has not been the straight and narrow path that I've carved out for myself. When it came to getting a career in accounting, it's college, internships, co-ops, a final job offer. That was easy. That was easy. Let me tell you, as ABC, 1, 2, 3. But to figure out how I'm going to get where I'm getting, carving my own path, is difficult. If I try to map out what I want to do and it doesn't end up being that way, or I am faced with the roadblocks and obstacles, it can be discouraging and heartbreaking, but it definitely pushes you to pivot your approach, but not pivot your vision. And that's the goal. You have your vision, you have your goal, but getting there probably will not be how you think you're going to get there. That is when it comes to sitting in the unknown and enduring the unknown, enduring obstacles until you know the next steps to take. So first thing I learned is being comfortable with saying you don't know what's next. The second thing is pivoting your approach to your dream, but never changing your dream or your vision. And the third thing I learned is having a great support team and to understand that we don't all have people who have our backs. And in that case, you're going to have to be your biggest fan. You're going to have to be your own support system. And that, again, takes time and patience in this life. For me, I would say it's a balance of both. For me, sometimes I have to be my biggest fan. I have to be my only support, not because my friends or family are falling short, but because there are just times when you're alone. There are just times when you're literally carving a path that no one has been on, and you're initial community, so you have to be the one who pushes yourself. So there's going to be days where you're alone and you're waking yourself up, you're pushing yourself forward, you're tired, but you have to keep going, you have to keep planning, you have to be disciplined, you have to go forward even if it feels like it just hurts so much to keep going. And on the other hand, I have friends and family that just like, I see what you're doing, you're so inspiring, you're so aspirational, I'm happy to see you doing you. If you need anything, let me know. They give me words of encouragement when I feel down, and that's good. It is a combination of both that gets me by, but at the end of the day, you have to be your biggest fan. You have to bet on yourself, and I think it's in betting on yourself that allows other people to like put in on that bet. If I didn't have at least 60% of confidence in what I was doing, I know I wouldn't have people backing me up. But they see the confidence, they see the work, they see, the grinding. I hate using that word, but it's what I'm doing. They see the ups and downs, and they just see that I won't stop. And because I won't stop, I know that they won't stop supporting me. So it is that combination of being your biggest fan but having a support system. And if you are your own support system, I hope that as you continue going towards what you want to do in this life, working on who you are and becoming who you want to be, I hope that you find your people. I hope that you find your community. I hope you find those people who will put in on the bet as you bet on yourself. If you haven't found them yet, they are coming, I promise you. Just do not lose hope, do not lose faith, and just keep going. And that brings me to my fourth thing that I learned, is to choose your hard. There are times where I wish I can go back to the Crystal I was when I didn't have a freer mind or a desire to do more or an urge, a calling to be more. I wish I was that girl again who could just put her head down in a cubicle from 9 to 5 and just work, go home, eat dinner, watch TV, call it a day. It's easier that way. It was an easier path to get to. It was hard on my mental health sometimes to work a 9 to 5 job, with people telling you what to do and pretty much making you feel like you're not good enough. And it made it really hard to do a job where I felt like what I was doing was pointless, and it wasn't saving lives. It wasn't adding to the betterment of the world. And it's small, but it was very hard to get through sometimes. So I wish I can go back to that sometimes, because it would be easier. It was an easier path, hard at times, but easy nonetheless. And this is harder. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to choose your hard. The accounting life was hard in its own way. This life is hard in its own way as well. But choose your hard. And it reminds me of the quote from Jim Carrey, and he says, "You can fail at doing what you don't want to do. So why not take the chance and do what you love?" And I love that because it definitely reminds me, like, it's all relevant. Someone's hard, it may not be your hard may not be somebody else's hard, but it's like choosing your hard. It's choosing what you want to go after. That is something that I remind myself of when the time comes to it, when I have that like yearning to be back where I was. And it happens, it definitely happens, especially when like something doesn't go my way for the umpteenth time in the month, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna go back to accounting. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go back to accounting. Oh my God. I remember like threatening the universe at some point. I was like, why would you give me this urge to go after my dream if you make it so damn hard? If you make it even harder, I'm gonna go back to an accountant, and all the skills and talent that I have for this world will be diminished. And I've just found myself threatening the universe that I'm gonna go back to an accountant. And I was like, girl, get it together. And the universe probably was like, girl, get it together. But that's how I feel sometimes. It's definitely a love and hate relationship with your dream, but it's always worth it. The last thing I learned after quitting my job is just having the courage to see it through. So this is just all building on each other. The last thing I would say, and it goes again with that quote from Jim Carrey, is have the courage to see it through. Have the courage to see it through. I don't know if you've ever seen a picture of two guys mining a tunnel to gold. And this one guy, both of them are working away. One guy is looking enthusiastic and the other guy is looking tired. And the guy who is tired turns around and walks away from the mine and walks away, trying to walk out of the tunnel. And the picture shows that the guy walking away wasn't like an inch away from hitting gold, while the other guy is still very enthusiastic about hitting his gold. He hasn't given up yet. He is seeing it through. And it's that part right there. See it through. See it through. Keep going until you see your work manifested and until you see your work materialized. And we don't have a time stamp on our dreams. We don't have a time limit on our dreams either. It's all up to you, right? And that's beautiful. So have the courage to see it through. I mean, you like, not to like just simplify it, but I mean, you started, why not finish? Like, you started your dream, why not finish and see it through? And a question that I'll ask myself is, how do I continue to see this through? How do I continue to carve this path to this vision that I have for myself, to this woman that I'm becoming? And the way that I have the courage to see it through is answering this one question. And the question is, whenever you have an obstacle, ask yourself, is dealing with this obstacle, dealing with this struggle, dealing with this limitation, this current limitation, worth getting to your dream, worth getting to your vision? And if you continue answering yes, I have no doubt that you'll be successful in whatever path you carve for yourself. So I want to repeat it because I feel like I was getting it out, but I want to repeat it in the most smoothest way possible. When you are met with an obstacle, a struggle, a limitation, a pivoting moment in your approach to your vision, ask yourself, is this obstacle, pivot, struggle, is dealing with this worth getting to your dream? Answer yes every single time, and you will get to where you want to be. You'll become the person you want to be. And I really do think it's that simple. If you were to have told College Crystal that she'd be this girl who takes the impractical route, she would have laughed in your face. And now for me to go back is very, it's very attractive sometimes, but no, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't change this for the world. I mean, I'd change it going forward, right? But I wouldn't change it trying to go back. And that's the tea, babe. That is the tea, and that is where this conversation ends. Taking a chance on yourself in whatever you want to do in this world is so worth it. When you see it through, have a great support system, whether that's you or a group of people. Whether you can sit in the unknown and just know that the next step will be given to you. The next step will appear to you if you just wait and endure. And if you just choose your heart and you don't give up. I never want to sound like that, like optimistic, motivational person, but at the end of the day, it is that simple. I love you. I am grateful for you, and I will see you or talk to you in the next one. Bye.